Welcome back to Montober. Today I'm going to do a game review, Doom 3 BFG Edition. More specifically, the Doom 3 portion of the game. This comes with Doom 1 and 2, as well as the expansion Resurrection of Evil and the Lost Missions, which were added for Doom 3 BFG. Great package, even though you can buy Doom 3 and 1 and 2 separate on the Xbox One, the Microsoft Store, PlayStation Store, Nintendo eShop, whatever it is. If you have a PS3 or 4, 360 or Xbox One, I do recommend this copy of the game. Off the bat, I'm going to address the elephant in the room, the flashlight. On the PC, which even though I hate keyboard and mouse, back in the day, I was lucky enough to play this on a PC at a friend's house. There was a mechanic where, because the facility was so dark, which worked with the survival horror atmosphere, you would have to cycle between flashlight and weapons. Now, on the PC, where you have command keys, it's easy to press of a button, flashlight, press of a button, shotgun. Oh wait, I need the chain gun, press of a button. And it worked just fine. Now on a console, when you have to cycle through everything one by one, it can be problematic. So as far as a console release, to have the flashlight mounted, I think is an improvement for console, where on PC it's a non-issue. The game does show its age. This is a game from 2004, but this was the most powerful, this was the most technically advanced game released at the time. And you can still see that. This game, if anything, it's a masterwork in shadowing and sound design. The plot is very simple and straightforward. You're a Marine getting transferred to the UAC Mars facility. They're experimenting with teleportation, and it opens a portal to hell. As you go through the game and find these audio logs, you find that they've been going back and forth for some time. In fact, there's a level in hell with a audio log that, with absolutely phenomenal voice acting. It's the log of someone who went in with the research team and the team is missing, and you can hear the fear in his voice, especially when he's talking about how the monsters, he sees them and gets away, and he knows they're toying with him, purposely letting him stay a few steps ahead. The game has a lot of interesting enemy redesigns from what was in the original. Some for the better, some not so much, but I don't think there's a bad design in the lot. Especially the Hell Knight design, which was carried over in Doom 2016. Another thing this game does well is sound design. I played this for the first time with headphones, and it really works. All the ambient noises, the clicks and whistles, the sound of the air processors in the facility, it just builds atmosphere, even to the point where there's points in the game where you hear voices say, "over here," in whisper, which I'll get to that in a second, where whether it's coming from the right or left with the headset, you will hear it on that side, which was really interesting. Now, why I said I'll get to that later, there's an audio log where one of the workers is talking about it and he heard a voice say, "over here." And he almost walked into an elevator shaft. Now, my first time playing this game, which this wasn't my first time, by the way, I had where I heard a voice say, "over here," and I turned to investigate and I walked into an elevator shaft. So it's neat how that warns you of something that will happen to you later in the game. The controls are very tight and you get a nice variety of weapons, where no weapon makes, with the exception of the pistol, which can still be useful against zombies to conserve bigger ammo, no weapon really makes the other obsolete. when I get the assault rifle, it doesn't make the shotgun obsolete. When I get the more powerful chain rifle, I still heavily use the assault rifle because it doesn't drink as much ammo and it's still good for smaller enemies. The plasma rifle drinks ammo like crazy but is good for certain types of enemies. The rocket launcher has more limited ammo but is great for the more bullet spongy weapons of the game. The BFG is you can't go wrong no matter what you shoot it with, although you do want to conserve your ammo for the bigger enemies. Now, one thing I like in the lore, the BFG has always been a prototype weapon. This game, it truly feels like a prototype because it has two fire modes. Only weapon that has two fire modes in the game, by the way. A basic shot, which is pretty powerful in itself, in a charge shot, where you can charge two or more of the shots into one. Now, here's what I love. It does feel like a prototype, because if you overcharge it, it will blow up and kill you. You even have to face a boss that uses the BFG, which isn't as intimidating as you would think because of the Soul Cube. The Soul Cube is something the ancient Martians built to close the gates to hell, and it's a great weapon in its own right. It charges with every like 5 kills and is particularly useful against enemies like the Archvile, which hit you with massive fire damage and resurrect fallen enemies. Not only does the Soul Cube kill them, but it gives you their health. Now, this boss with the BFG, what you just simply do is rocket launcher him, then switch to the Soul Cube once he gets up close, hit him with it, it'll drain the rest of his health, restore what damage you may have been taken, and you can go on. As far as protagonists go, the only two ones are the Sergeant, as you find out later, and Protruger, who his arc doesn't get resolved till Resurrection of Evil. I will say another thing, people have criticized the sound design, that the weapons aren't loud and satisfying. For the survival horror aspect, it works. This isn't a kick button take names action game. This is a survival horror game. These weapons are a scared Marine's only line of defense against the forces of hell, and it works with that aspect, just like the minimalistic soundtrack. It doesn't have the rockin' soundtrack Doom games normally have. When music is playing, it takes, well, there's two types of way you can use music in media, where it's noticeable enough to enhance what's there, or it's so subtle you don't even know it, but it still enhances. Doom 3 takes the more subtle approach, and it works. I don't think the rockin' soundtrack would work in this game any more than this game's soundtrack would work in the other games. Which, again, it's its own unique experience, which is one thing I really like about it. Even though I will concede Doom 2016 is the far superior game in almost every aspect, because I tend to like survival horror a little more, I like this game better, to be honest. That being said, I would rate 2016 higher than this game if I'm putting personal bias to the side. But I enjoy this game. In fact, I do like in 2016 they tinkered with it, but they more or less kept this game's version of the Hell Knight. So, Doom 3 BFG Edition, I do recommend it, even though you can get the game separately. Now, I don't know if the version on the Microsoft Xbox and Twitch stores have the Resurrection of Evil and Lost Missions side content. I'm probably going to get it just to find out one day, but as for Doom 3 itself, I'm going to give it an A-. It's still a phenomenal game, but it does fall short in some areas, and some of the enemy placement can be a little aggravating. As well as Some people that love the more action oriented Doom may find this experience a little too slow, but for survival horror fans, it's great, especially because you don't really see too many survival horror FPSs out there. So check it out and don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Over and out.